They didn't expect her to actually come. The invitation was a joke. A cruel, golden-embossed prank slipped into her mop bucket, addressed like a dare. Lorraine Washington, it read, cordially invited to the annual Whitmore Midnight Gala. The suits laughed. Let's see if she wears her janitor uniform to the red carpet. One of them snorted. But what they forgot is that women like Lorraine, they've been dressing for survival their entire lives. She didn't just show up, she arrived. And when she stepped into that marble ballroom, the room froze, because in that moment, the help was royalty. If you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or written off, this story is for you. Tap subscribe so you never miss these true, soul-shaking stories. And drop a comment right now. Respect is never a joke. Let's get into it. Lorraine Washington was 61 years old, widowed, and had worked as a night janitor at Whitmore Towers for almost 17 years. She cleaned the same glass that billionaires tapped with champagne flutes, polished the conference tables where empires were made and unmade. She knew their secrets, not because she asked, but because people rarely hide what they think the invisible can't hear. And to most of them, Lorraine was invisible. But Thomas Whitmore, he remembered her just fine. He remembered a little black girl who used to sit next to him in the gifted program. Lorraine's daughter, Naomi. She was brilliant, too brilliant, and she made the Whitmore boy uncomfortable. His mother once whispered at a fundraiser, "It's a shame, really, that kind of brain and that kind of blood." Eventually, Naomi left the program. Too many stares, too many fights, too much weight for a 12-year-old. She never made it to 25. So when Lorraine received that invitation to his party, she hesitated. But grief matures into something strange. It sheds its tears and grows a backbone. She pulled out a green dress Naomi once loved to sketch, took it to a tailor, and on the night of the gala, she stood in front of that tower one more time. Inside, crystal chandeliers sparkled like icicles. Every table cost more than her yearly salary. And when she stepped through the entrance, heads turned. "Who is that?" someone gasped. "She looks like a queen." The man who had joked about the invitation dropped his champagne flute. Thomas Whitmore stood speechless, his jaw tight. He walked up to her with a forced grin. "Lorraine, I wasn't expecting." She held up a hand. "I know," she said softly. "You weren't." He chuckled awkwardly. "It was just a joke, you know." "I do," she replied. That's the funny thing about jokes. Sometimes the punchline walks in wearing crown. Before he could answer, the mayor's wife approached her. "Are you the ambassador from Ghana? You look radiant," she beamed. Lorraine just smiled. "I'm just someone who came to clean up." And clean up she did. By midnight, she'd held conversations with Nobel laureate, shared a table with 2 tech CEOs, and had 3 event photographers trailing her like she was a guest of honor. And all the while, Thomas watched a woman he once saw as a help outshine every soul in the room. But Lorraine didn't come to shine. She came to speak. Near the end of the night, a small jazz quartet began to play. Lorraine tapped her glass gently and stood. She cleared her throat. "I want to thank you all for your kindness tonight. Some of you may not know me. That's okay. My name is Lorraine. And once, a long time ago, my daughter sat beside some of your sons in school." There was a pause. She didn't make it, not because she wasn't brilliant, but because the world made her carry too much for a child. Her voice didn't tremble. It echoed. "I came here tonight not to remind you of who I am, but to remind myself of who she was, and what she could have been if this room had looked at her the way it looked at me tonight." Silence. Then applause. Some polite, some stunned, some from hearts cracked open. And Thomas? He clapped too, but his eyes were glassy, because in that moment, he realized he hadn't just invited the janitor as a joke. He'd invited a reckoning. 25 years later, the world had changed on the surface. There were more black women in boardrooms, more faces on magazine covers, more panels filled with promises about diversity and inclusion. But under the glass, the fight was still the same. Meet Elise Washington, age 29. Lorraine's granddaughter. And if Naomi was a dream deferred, Elise was the one picked up, replanted, and relentless. She graduated MIT at 21, developed a groundbreaking algorithm that could predict medical emergencies in real time, and she didn't do it in some polished Silicon Valley lab. She did it in a cluttered garage in Atlanta with her grandma's old mop bucket next to her desk as a reminder. When the Whitmore Foundation, yes, that Whitmore, offered Elise a seat on their innovation panel at the Global Tech Summit in Geneva, Lorraine was hesitant. "They haven't changed," she warned. But Elise smiled. "I have. That's enough." She flew first class, wore a sleek navy suit, walked into the panel with a laptop and quiet fire in her eyes. Until it happened, right before her speech. Someone on the panel, a clean-cut, overconfident exec named Bryce Whitmore, leaned toward her mic and muttered, "Do you have the slides, or do you just clean up the stage after?" The audience laughed, awkwardly. Elise froze. The weight of her grandmother, her mother, every girl told she was too much and not enough in the same breath, slammed into her chest. But Elise, she didn't leave. She didn't flinch. She clicked the remote and pulled up the first slide. A photo of Lorraine, standing in that emerald gown. Headline, "The Night the Room Learned to Listen." Gasps echoed. "I'm Elise Washington," she said calmly. "My grandmother was once invited to a gala as a joke. She left as a queen. Tonight, I wasn't invited as a joke, but I was reminded why our stories still matter." She turned to Bryce. "And for the record, I do clean up." Click. A graph appeared. Messy code. Broken systems. Algorithms that leave people like my family behind. Click. Another slide. And I don't just clean. I rebuild. What followed was a 20-minute presentation that left the room breathless. By the time she finished, she had 2 standing ovations, 3 job offers, and a quiet tear rolling down the cheek of the summit's chairwoman. Bryce tried to apologize afterward. Elise nodded politely, then walked away. Because power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's generational. Sometimes it wears green gowns and navy suits. Sometimes it cleans up the mess you never admitted making and turns it into something brilliant. Respect isn't owed to status. It's owed to story. To the people who came before you with calloused hands and unshakable pride. Lorraine walked so Elise could code. Elise stood so others could dream. And the next time someone underestimates you, let them laugh. Then arrive like a storm. If this story moved you, subscribe now. Comment below. I clean. I build. I rise. Because someone out there needs your fire to find theirs.